Welcome in, guys, to another exciting episode of Chris's Kick-Ass Collectibles. And be sure to stay tuned at the end of this video. I got a special announcement in relation to what I'm about to show you, so you want to stay tuned for that, trust me. So what I got here laid out on the table, if you don't know what this is, you should, because this is Han Solo's DL-44 blaster from Star Wars. This one I built and assembled. These are all found parts. This is all metal with a replica Mauser. This thing is awesome. Have this thing hanging up here at my shop. One of my favorite things, plus I built it by hand. I'm gonna probably do a video just on this one. I know I've had a lot of people ask me questions about this. They've seen it hanging up on the wall in some of my older videos on my old set. But what I got going on today is something a little special. This came in my shop not too long ago, fairly recently. This is a airsoft Mauser, but it's busted. It doesn't fire, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping that'd be cool to make a Han Solo gun with this and be able to shoot some BBs. How cool would that be? Because this one's just a static prop. This actually would be able to fire, but it's busted. So I thought, why not turn this into a DL-44 anyway? So this, I got that, and right here I have all the parts. These are all 3D printed. I have a time-lapse video I did on this. Hopefully that turned out pretty good. That was my first time-lapse video ever, so congratulations to me, maybe? I don't know. But hopefully that turned out well enough to be able to show you guys of the process of the print. I think this was, oh gosh, 10-hour print? Maybe? A little 12-hour print? Let's see, I started this at midnight. I think it got done, it was about a 12-hour print, I would say. 12, 15-hour print for this. But I'm going to get this, show you the assembly of putting it on here, and then I'm going to paint it, get it all up, and I have a special announcement that will be going along with this guy. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned for that. So let's get on to the build. So the first thing I did was shorten that barrel down. All I used was a hacksaw. Came right off. It's just very flimsy aluminum. This is so I can put on the muzzle. You'll hear it, see just a second. Once I got the tip of it off, I moved on to sanding the adapter for the front flash hinderer, just so it would fit in the hole. I ended up reprinting the flash hinderer. I used too much of the support material. It was just going to be a pain in the butt to get all of it off. So once I was done with that, I moved on to the drilling for the scope mount rail. I drilled it. It was super easy to do, came out great, but I ran into a problem. And that is the metal for the airsoft gun is really flimsy. It's very thin. It's pretty brittle. So once I put in the first screw, it was perfect. Everything was fine. But once I moved on to the second one, after I drilled it, it just broke. So I had to come up with a different solution later on. You'll see that here in just a minute. Then I primed everything. Then I started the sanding process. The sanding process will take forever. Basically what you're trying to do is use the primer as a filler. So as you're sanding it, it's going to wedge itself in between the cracks and hide the layer lines. Now you're going to want to do this as many times as you can until those layer lines are gone. Update, guys, we're back here in the studio. So I got all the parts primed with some primer and then painted silver, so they're ready for the black. So what I'm doing for the black paint isn't going to be a spray paint, because that won't work for what I'm going to do for the weathering process. So what I've done is I've got the scope ready to go, sanded, primed, and painted silver. That's going to be the undercoat. I'm going to use an acrylic black over the top of this with an airbrush. So once this is dried with the black paint, I can then start scratching it right off the surface. If I did it with a spray paint, it would just scratch off the black paint, silver, primer, right down to the plastic, and you don't want that. Because you're trying to make this look weathered, like it's been through battle. So I'm going to do the acrylic paint on all these parts here, except for this guy right here. And you may have noticed, I got two of them. I printed this one. I didn't like how it came out. I used too much support material, and it was just being a pain in the butt to get everything off, and just kind of looked funky. And a lot of these parts will still be black, but there are a few pieces, like these goes in the scope. These will be a brass color. I'll get those done here in a minute. Those will just be hand painted. I won't need to use the airbrush for that. What I do want to mention, which I should have done in the very beginning of this episode, was let you know that this will not be a screen accurate DL-44. It's kind of just for fun. This came in the store and I wanted to make a Han Solo blaster. I have a 3D printer so I can make the parts. Now it won't look 100%. There's going to be some dreeblies that are missing. Assembly might be a little bit weird. It won't look anything like the one I have hanging up in my office that I showed you at the beginning, because this is just for fun. So with that said, let's move on to finishing the painting and getting it assembled. And basically I'm just going to cover the whole thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, which is fine because I'm going to be weathering it. I'm going to scratch it up, beat it all up when it's done. So it doesn't have to be even. You can have runs, you can have anything really, air bubbles, things like that. It'd be perfectly fine. But I'm going to get to doing this and let's check it out. So I got the first coat pretty much done, and as you can see, I know sparks are probably really difficult. I'll try to get some close-ups for you. Where I had my fingers around the edges, you can see like some peel, some rub, or the paint just basically scrubbed right off. And that's kind of what the look I'm going for the weathering technique. Once this whole thing's dry, you'll see what I mean. It's just gonna it's gonna rub off, which is what you want, because you're gonna get that kind of like that layered effect that literally looks like paint has been scratched off, which is what's happening, and it makes the best looking weathered props or cars or things like that every time you're painting. Then I'm going to seal it with a sealer to keep it from coming off, and then this will be pretty much done. And then once those are dry, I'm going to move on to mounting this to the gun, and that's it. Then we're done. So I'm going to get the scope put on right here. I want to line that up. Now this was 2 parts pieces, and it has a seam, but I didn't bother messing with that because I knew I was going to line this up underneath this mount right here, and it would be hidden. So you're not going to be seeing that. How cool is that? Now I'm just going to screw these down. I got some screws here. They're a little bit big. Like the head of the screw is a little bit bigger than I would like it to be, but so I'm just going to use what I got laying around. You don't really need to go out and make it all fancy unless you really want to do a screen accurate one, but this isn't going to be a screen accurate one. Now I'm going to assemble this without pre-weathering it, like I said, because once it's all put together, that's when I'm going to do the final weathering and then seal the whole thing, and then I'm good to go. Like I said, are the wrong ones. They're a little too big, but it's all I got, and I'm all about using what you got. So I'm using what I got in this situation. But again, this is not screen accurate. They didn't have Phillips screws in Star Wars. Actually, I think they did. The Force Awakens, the Rey poster from 2 years ago, they actually used Phillips screws. So they kind of stick up a bit. I'm going to have to figure something else out. This will be temporary. I'll get it all assembled, painted up. Not painted, I'm going to do all the weathering, and then I'll seal it. And then I'll find some other screws to finish it off. But this will do for now. This glue is not working out for me. It doesn't come out very smoothly. But it's working. It's doing the job. And that is all that matters. That was dumb. It's fine. I haven't gotten it dirty yet. It's a little sticky. Little adjuster knobs. I really wish I was able to put in the those threaded little bolts mounted to the side, but it just wasn't gonna work. So these are just gonna have to be straight glued on. And this, I don't remember which way this goes. I gotta double check. Let's look that up real quick. I don't want to put it on backwards. I think that this part goes backwards. Let's see. Yeah, it does. Cool. So I would have been right. I would have been fine. But always double check. Always double check. and it spins. Heck, the one I have doesn't even spin. This is almost better than one I got. Yeah, so this front grill part, just click it in place. I even need to glue that in there. It's in there tight. How cool is that? And there you go. It's almost there. Just gotta put that there, glue that on. It's looking pretty awesome. What do you say? Now, for the barrel, I think I'm gonna repaint this. I don't really like that chrome silver. Once I did it, I was like, it's still too bright. I need to darken it up a little bit. So I'm gonna use some of this natural steel color, and then I'm gonna go over it again with some blacks, darken it up, and do a cool weather process on it. So let's get to it. So I'm just gonna darken this up by hand, and it'll take a little while. But the nice thing about it is, since I have that base coat down with that silver, I don't really need to be even. I can just kind of go sloppy a little bit, and it'll also give it a weathered feel as well. So it's kind of a bonus. So the first coat's done. It's darkened up some, but it's still a little bit too bright. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna add maybe some browns and some blacks a little bit just to darken it up a little bit more, give it a little more natural, worn texture to it. Plus, this is the barrel, so all the heat blast is gonna be coming out, so it's gonna be a lot darker than this. So this will be the one I work on the most. So get that. So let that dry for a minute. Let's mount this. That's it. Once that's dry and I can finish that up, that'll be the last piece. So that's gonna go right there, like so. Well, this isn't setting up. It's still sliding around. It's supposed to be 5-minute epoxy. Should already be tacky. Alright, so I'm having some trouble getting the rail for the scope mount to stick. Tried that 5-minute epoxy, didn't work. So I'm trying some E6000, so hopefully this works. It's kind of a mess now, and gonna be a lot of cleanup. But whatever gets this to stick is I'm gonna be happy. Like I said, I really wanted to drill and screw it in and mount it that way, because one, it's easier, only 2 holes, and then you screw something in. Awesome, looks better, and it will hold better. But this material, this metal airsoft, is this really thin metal, so I have to glue it. It's the only other way I can do it. So as I'm waiting for the adhesive to harden, I move on to some of the weathering. I'm just doing a rough scratch up with some sandpaper just to give it a little bit of a weathered texture. I'm doing it very lightly because I do not want to go all the way through the silver paint underneath, just the acrylic black. It took 10 minutes for the 5-minute epoxy to cure, and I have some still on here on my little cardboard, and it's still not dry, and it's been like 20 minutes. So this stuff is already set up. This might be the winner. This might be the winner. So let's hope. All right, we are back, and I've got some good news. First of all, some bad news. So after I turned off the cameras last night, put everything away, I came back to check on the gun one last time before I closed up the shop here, and the adhesive didn't work. Bummer, right? So like, okay, so I didn't get this on camera, so I tried this stuff. This is the winner. This is Old Faithful. I usually use this on everything. I don't know why I decided to go with this stuff. I thought this would be better, but no, it's not. This stuff right here is Loctite 60-second universal glue. Yeah, this is the stuff right here. I put it on and it was dry within like 2 minutes. Solid, wasn't coming off. So I put that on, like I said, and now it's on there. And then the only thing that's left is putting on the muzzle, getting that stuff on, and then sealing it, and then we are done. So let me get this set up, put that on there, and then we'll move on from there. So I think what I'm going to do is actually buy another airsoft one, and the one that actually works, that isn't broken, because it'd be so cool to have a DL-44 airsoft gun that can actually shoot. That'd be so cool. So I'm going to let this set up for another couple minutes, and I'm going to seal it, put it on the grips, and we're good to go. So that's it, guys. This thing is done right here, finally. I had a few hiccups, so let me recap a little bit about what I did to make this guy right here. So the base of this blaster here is a airsoft gun. It is a C96 Mauser. It came into the store, it was all busted up, broken, it doesn't fire, missing some parts. And I said, you know what, it'd still be cool to make a Han Solo blaster. I decided to utilize my 3D printer and found some parts and printed it myself. That was done. I went ahead and started sanding the whole thing down. Then I primed it with a primer, then sanded it again, then primed it again, then sanded it again. It went and kept going until I got to a finish that I like. And honestly, it still needs more. It needs a lot more. 3D printing is convenient. You can pump this stuff out really fast, but it's a lot of work. And I will be honest, there was a few parts that I decided to not even bother with, to kind of show you what it looks like sanded and not sanded. Then once I got the sanding done, I went ahead and shot all the parts with a silver undercoat, and I'll get to the reason for that in just a second. So once I got all the silver down, I went through the gun and decided to drill into the gun, because that's how I wanted to mount it. I wanted to put in a bolt, or a screw, and hard mount it directly to the body. But what I ran into was an issue, and this is a very thin metal. It's almost like a pop metal. I don't know the actual metal term for this, but it's very thin. It's brittle. So when I drilled into it, it drilled fine. Once I started putting the screw in, it just broke. Like a chunk of it just fell off. So I finished the painting by using an acrylic paint over the top of the I think it's an enamel in the spray paints, because I just use a spray paint for the silvers and the primers. So I use an acrylic black over the top of it. Once that dried, what that lets me do is actually go and weather it really nicely, because I can just rub chunks of it off and it looks like paint chipping, because that's what you're going for. I want that layered effect. And I used adhesive to mount everything once it's all painted. And then I ran into a big issue. I used 5-minute epoxy. I think it's from Gorilla. Yeah, Gorilla Glue. But it was a 5-minute epoxy. And it wouldn't harden, wouldn't stick. Just kept falling off. So then I moved on to E6000. Industrial strength adhesive. Stuck that bad boy on there and it dried, but it didn't stick. It just fell off again. And so what I went on to is something that I use on everything. I love this stuff. I don't know why I didn't start with it, but it's by Loctite. It's 60-second harden time. And that worked beautifully. I should have started with that to begin with. I don't even know why I bothered using something else. But I used that and it worked great. So I put everything on there. And then I did some final weathering once everything was on, make it a little more natural. I used screws to screw the scope on, but it's the wrong screws. They're too long, they're too big. But that's what I had laying around. I kind of wanted to see how fast I could get this done. Kind of like a one-day build almost, turned into a day-and-a-half build. Only because of the adhesive issue. That was the big problem. Then I went ahead and hand-painted the scope, not the scope, hand-painted the flash hinderer, or muzzle, if you want to call it. Silver, blacks, browns, different colors to make it a little more natural, weathered, realistic, like it actually has been in a firefight. Getting some stormtroopers, and then I attached the grill. That was super easy. Didn't even have to use glue for that. I think you just slap right on. It was super cool. Then I sealed it with the sealer. That's done by who does that? It's only sold at Lowe's. Best stuff around. The stuff is amazing. The downside is it reeks. It smells so bad. The propellant in that thing is horrible. It's just super potent. So I have to spray it outside, leave it there for a while. But it's the best stuff I found. I've used so many different clear coats, and this stuff dries really well, like hard. Like it protects things extremely well. Highly recommend it. But again, I think you can only get it at Lowe's. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, it wasn't a hard build at all. Other than figuring out what adhesive I could use on this. I didn't want to use adhesive to begin with. I wanted to bolt it to the frame of the blaster. That's how this one was done. Now, there's no glue on this at all. It's just bolted on there, which is really neat. It's more durable, more strong. The glue could come off if you knock it. It could snap, which I don't like that, but it is what it is. Had to use. That's all I had. This is really neat, but it is missing some parts, and disclaimer, this is not a screen accurate blaster, okay? Okay, you guy down there leaving some comments saying, hey guys, it's not screen accurate, it's missing a little gravy, the ball on the bottom isn't flat, it's just always missing that, it doesn't have the disc. Yes, I know it doesn't have a lot of the screen accurate stuff. This was just for fun, okay guys? I had it laying around, decided to do it. I mean, 3D printing is fun and I love doing it, but if it was for a prop for me hanging on the wall or shelf, want to play with, I'd rather have the real deal. But it's still really cool and really fun. This is a lot easier. You can take to conventions. It's super lightweight. You can use it for your Halloween costumes. This is pretty heavy. I don't know if I take this around. This thing's bulky and weighs a ton. This is lightweight and, you know, like I said, it's easy. But it's not screen accurate, okay? Not screen accurate. The Phillips screw heads is kind of a giveaway, okay? So, now, with that being said, it's still really fun. This was a great fun build. Now, I said I had a special announcement that goes with this guy right here. Now, what I'm going to be doing is, since I already have one of these, look at this. Oh, this is mine. Look at this beast. This thing weighs a lot. This weighs 6-7 pounds maybe. This is like a pound and a half? Maybe 2 pounds? Not quite 2 pounds. This thing weighs a lot. But I don't need two of these. Look at that. I got mine right here. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give this away to one of you guys. But not on this channel. I'm going to give this away on my other channel called The Toy Kings. You may have heard me talking about it in the past, but if you go over to the Toy Kings YouTube channel, there'll be a link in the description for you. That will just describe how you're able to win this guy. It's going to be super easy and free. How cool is that? Just free. Just giving it away for you guys. All my hard work and effort and tears and blood put into this. No, not really. But I will be giving this away to one of you guys. Go check out the video down below explaining how you can enter to win this guy right here. So, this has been another exciting episode of Chris's Kick-Ass Collectibles. And I want to see you here in the next one.